Today, I want to talk about what happens when VA finds new military records after a claim has been denied. In this case, I'm going to talk about my own case along with a couple of others that I've worked on. So, way back in 1992, when I got out of the Army, I filed claims for knee and foot injuries from basic training. I had gotten stress fractures, which would eventually have been healed and been fine if I had gotten proper medical care. But I didn't get that care because immediately after I finished basic training at Fort Knox, I deployed to Saudi Arabia and then Iraq. Okay. So fast forward to 1995, my claims were denied because VA had lost my entire C file. And that included my service treatment records, from the Boston VA, which showed that I'd gotten treatment after I got out of the military. So even though I had ongoing pain, ongoing injuries, in fact, one of the sesamoid bones in my right foot had completely separated in two. That's the bone that helps you balance. So, but I had no way of proving that it happened in service. Okay. So, decades later, after I filed a Privacy Act for my request for my C file, I found out that VA had found the original file, including my service treatment records. Okay, so thanks to a provision in VA regulations, I was able to get my claim backdated all the way to September 1992. Took a couple of appeals, but I won. So winning that case is one of the reasons why I do this work, because too often I see veterans get screwed by VA. They don't get the benefits they earned. Okay, so I want to talk about what is the legal provision that allows for backdating the claim. Now, the provision is in 38 CFR 3.156C, part of VA regulations, and it deals with situations like mine where the VA discovered new records connected to service after the claim's already been decided. Okay, those new records could include service department records like reports about injuries, medical treatment, duty assignments that weren't considered in the original decision. Okay. They can also include, and I've got a case like this that I'm working on now, it can include hospitalization records that never made it into the service treatment records. So in this case, the claim was denied because there was no record or few records of depression in that veteran's case. But it turned out the veteran had been hospitalized for 30 days for his depression. Those weren't in the service treatment records, but they were at the hospital where he'd been hospitalized. So we requested that VA go out and find those records. They found them, inserted them into the C file. And because they are original military records, then what VA is required to do is to reopen the case. Okay. So even better, the rule says that if those records show the veteran should have received benefits earlier, the VA has to set the start date for payments to reflect when the veteran first filed the claim. Okay. Another example is, if a veteran filed for PTSD, but they're denied because there's no proof of a stressor event in their records. Years later, military records surface that show the veteran was involved in combat. Under 3.156C, the VA has to look at the case again as if the newly discovered records had been there from the start. Okay, so key points to remember: the rule only applies to official military records. Okay, it doesn't cover private medical records or personal statements from the veteran unless they lead to discovering the original missing service records. Okay. And if your case is reopened and benefits are awarded, then you might get back pay dating to the original claim. So, what you should do: if you believe new service records related to your claim have been found, let VA know immediately. Another case I've got, the veteran had copies of his own military records that he had taken with him, again, back in 1989, but those records were not in the C file. We provided them to VA, okay, and those were inserted into the record, and so that claim got reopened back to 1989. All right, so you can pursue this on your own, but the claims can be really difficult and complicated. So if you're unsure how to proceed, you should consider getting help from an accredited agent or attorney. Right? So my suggestion, and I'm going to include a link in the video, is fill out my case intake form, and then I can take a look at your claim and give you an idea if I think you can win on this basis.